Emotions are powerful servants, but they are dangerous masters. If you don't control your emotions, they will control you. And the tragedy is, many people are not living their destiny today, not because they lacked opportunity, not because they lacked talent, but because they let their emotions sabotage their future. But hear me today, you were not created to be ruled by feelings. You were created to rule your feelings. You must rise and train your spirit like a warrior, disciplined, focused, unshakable. Because until your spirit becomes stronger than your emotions, your life will always be unstable. Emotions are like the weather. They shift, they move, they rise, they fall. One moment the sun is shining and you feel like you can conquer the world, and the next moment the clouds roll in and suddenly life feels unbearable. But just because the weather changes doesn't mean the foundation of the earth changes. In the same way, emotions are temporary, but your purpose is eternal. The danger is that many people make permanent decisions in moments of temporary feelings. They quit jobs they were assigned to grow in just because they felt overlooked for a season. They walk out of marriages because emotions told them love was gone, when in reality love is a choice that must be renewed daily. They throw away opportunities because emotions whispered, "You're not enough." And later they regret it because the emotion faded, but the consequences remained. Think about how many lives are wasted not because people lacked gifts, but because they surrendered their destiny to their feelings. Emotions scream loudly, and if you do not silence them, they will sabotage your future. Imagine a soldier on the battlefield who suddenly feels fear and decides to drop his weapon and run. His feelings may be real, but his duty doesn't change. His mission doesn't change. The enemy doesn't disappear just because he feels afraid. If he follows the emotion, he not only loses his life, but also the victory that was already within his reach. That's what happens when you let your emotions dictate your choices. You sacrifice destiny for comfort, and you abandon the eternal for the sake of the temporary. Emotions are real, but they are not always truthful. You can feel lonely even when surrounded by people who love you. You can feel hopeless even when opportunities are waiting right in front of you. You can feel weak even when there is strength still within you. That is why you must train yourself to separate how you feel from what is real. A trained spirit doesn't deny emotions. It acknowledges them but refuses to be ruled by them. A warrior doesn't let the weather determine if he goes to battle. He fights regardless of the rain or the sunshine. Consider this. How many times have you woken up in the morning feeling like you didn't want to face the day? Your emotions said, "Stay in bed. Don't go to work. Don't push forward." Yet the moment you got up, showered, and stepped outside, suddenly you felt alive, energized, ready to take on the world. That is the power of not submitting to temporary feelings. Had you listened to your emotions, you would have wasted a whole day of progress. But because you acted on discipline instead of mood, you gained ground in your destiny. Your purpose is not subject to moods, disappointments, or even betrayals. Purpose doesn't bend to sadness. It doesn't cancel because of anger. It doesn't fade because you feel unworthy. Purpose is eternal. It was written before you were born. And the tragedy is that emotions often blind people from seeing it. For example, anger can be so strong that it blinds you to forgiveness. And because you refuse to forgive, you block yourself from relationships and doors that were tied to your destiny. Fear can blind you to opportunity, so you stay comfortable while your purpose waits in unfamiliar territory. Doubt can blind you to your potential, so you stop trying when greatness was just one more step ahead. Look at children. A child can throw a tantrum today because they didn't get ice cream, but tomorrow they laugh and play as if nothing happened. That shows us that emotions pass. They are waves that rise and fall. Yet as adults, we often build our entire lives on temporary storms. We quit because of a bad day. We give up because someone said no. We surrender dreams because of rejection. But if emotions can pass so quickly in a child, why do we build permanent walls around them as adults? Purpose is like a compass. It doesn't change because the weather changes. If the storm is raging, the compass still points north. If the sun is shining, the compass still points north. That is how purpose works. No matter what you feel, it still points you to your destiny. The question is, will you follow purpose or will you follow feelings? One leads you to fulfillment, the other to regret. A person who understands that emotions are temporary learns how to pause. When anger rises, pause. When fear shouts, pause. When doubt whispers, pause. Don't act in the moment of emotional intensity, because when the storm calms, you will see clearly again. How many apologies are spoken after the fact because emotions made someone say words they didn't mean? How many broken relationships could have been saved if someone had paused and remembered that feelings pass, but words remain? Your greatest victories will not come from following how you feel, but from following what you know is right. The student who studies when they feel tired ends up with a degree. The athlete who trains when they feel weak ends up with the trophy. The entrepreneur who works when they feel discouraged ends up building an empire. They all refuse to let temporary feelings cancel eternal rewards. That is the posture of a warrior, to wake up every day understanding that emotions will rise and fall, but purpose must remain your anchor. When you are joyful, pursue purpose. When you are sad, pursue purpose. When you are afraid, pursue purpose. When you feel unworthy, pursue purpose. Because the day you train your spirit to rise above emotions is the day you truly begin to walk in your destiny. Your life is like an army, and every part of you has a role to play. Your emotions are like soldiers. They are strong, they are passionate, they are quick to respond. But soldiers without a commander will always cause chaos. That is why your spirit was designed to be the command center. It is the part of you that gives direction, that sets order, that tells your emotions when to move and when to stand still. Yet many people live in reverse. Their spirit is silent and their emotions are shouting orders. When fear rises, they run. When anger comes, they explode. When sadness whispers, they retreat. And as a result, their lives are unstable, tossed back and forth like a ship without a captain. Think about it. Have you ever made a decision in the heat of anger that you regretted later? That's what happens when emotions take the command seat. Words are spoken that cut like a sword. Choices are made that cannot be undone. Doors are closed that take years to reopen. The emotion was real, but it was not fit to lead. A soldier is useful when guided, but destructive when left unchecked. The spirit, on the other hand, has the ability to see beyond the moment. Your spirit understands that storms don't last forever. Your spirit knows that pain is temporary, but destiny is permanent. That's why your spirit must always sit in the commander's chair. Imagine a driver behind the wheel of a car. The emotions are like the accelerator and the brakes. They provide energy and force. But the spirit is the steering wheel. No matter how powerful the car is, if the steering wheel is ignored, the vehicle will crash. A person driven by emotions without the control of the spirit is like a car speeding downhill without brakes. It might feel exciting in the moment, but disaster is inevitable. That is why training your spirit is essential. It allows you to take control of the wheel and direct your life toward purpose instead of destruction. Everyday life shows us this truth. Look at relationships. Two people can truly love one another, but if they allow jealousy, insecurity, or anger to become the commanders, the relationship collapses. A husband may feel disrespected and, instead of letting his spirit guide his words, he lets his emotions speak. The result, words that pierce deeper than knives, and the damage lingers. A wife may feel hurt, and instead of pausing to let her spirit direct her actions, she retaliates. The result, trust erodes. But when the spirit is in control, even when emotions scream, you can respond with wisdom, patience, and understanding. That's what keeps relationships alive, not the absence of emotion, but the presence of discipline in the spirit. In the workplace, the same principle applies. A leader who cannot control his emotions cannot lead effectively. One day he is enthusiastic, the next day he is depressed, the next day he is angry at everyone around him. His team is confused, uncertain, and unmotivated because they never know which version of him will show up. But a leader with a strong spirit may feel all those emotions, yet he chooses not to let them command. Instead, he stands firm, communicates clearly, and inspires consistently. That's the difference between chaos and order. The placement of command. Children give us another clear picture. A child's emotions are raw and untrained. When they don't get what they want, they scream, cry, or throw things. Their emotions are in the driver's seat. But as they grow, maturity should teach them that you cannot scream your way through life. Sadly, many adults have grown older but have not matured. They still allow anger tantrums, silent treatments, or mood swings to dictate their actions. They are grown physically but infants emotionally. The spirit must be trained to take command. Otherwise, the emotions will keep you stuck in immaturity, no matter your age. Training the spirit is like training a muscle. It doesn't happen overnight. It requires daily practice. Athletes don't win championships by showing up once. They train every single day. In the same way, your spirit must be exercised daily to build the strength to command your emotions. That means practicing calmness when everything in you wants to panic. That means practicing patience when frustration rises. That means practicing gratitude when you feel like complaining. Every small act of discipline is a workout for your spirit, and over time, your spirit becomes strong enough to lead without hesitation. Look at the difference between a soldier in training and a soldier on the battlefield. In training, discipline is drilled into him every day. Stand straight, march in order, follow commands. It may feel unnecessary, even harsh, but when the battlefield comes, that training saves his life. The same is true for you. Life will throw battles your way. Betrayal, loss, disappointment, rejection. If your emotions are the commanders, you will crumble under the weight. But if your spirit has been trained to lead, you will stand firm and unshaken. You will not deny the pain, but you will not bow to it either. Even in simple daily situations, this truth is evident. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and your emotions shout, yell, curse, chase them down. But your spirit whispers, stay calm, protect your peace. Don't waste your energy. At work, your boss criticizes you unfairly, and your emotions rise. Quit, walk out, fight back. But your spirit says, hold on, this is training. Let patience finish its work. At home, your child disobeys, and emotions say, lose control, lash out. But your spirit reminds you, guide, correct, but do it with wisdom. Every day, these battles show up, and every day, you have to decide who sits in the commander's chair. The truth is, emotions are not your enemy. They are necessary. Joy makes life sweet. Compassion makes life tender. Anger can protect what is valuable. Fear can warn you of danger. But these emotions were never meant to lead. They were designed to follow the instructions of your spirit. When they lead, they become destructive. When they follow, they become powerful allies. Your spirit must always remain the command center. giving direction, setting order, and ensuring that your life moves steadily toward purpose, no matter how the winds of emotion may blow. Discipline is the secret weapon that separates a warrior from a wanderer. It is the difference between someone who dreams and someone who achieves. Discipline is the power to say yes to what matters most, even when every emotion in you screams no. It is the ability to remain consistent when others give up. It is the strength to do what you should do, not just what you feel like doing. Without discipline, potential is wasted. Opportunities are missed and destinies are delayed. Emotions may inspire you to start, but only discipline will carry you to the finish line. Think about the athlete who wakes up at 5 a.m. every morning to train. His emotions tell him to sleep, his body aches, and the comfort of his bed calls louder than the whistle of the coach. But he understands something deeper. His feelings won't win the race. His discipline will. While others are still sleeping, he is training. While others are eating carelessly, he is fueling his body with intention. When the day of competition comes, the crowd sees victory, but what they don't see is the months and years of quiet discipline that made the victory possible. That's the power of discipline. It turns hidden effort into public success. In life, storms will come, battles will rise, and emotions will fluctuate. A disciplined spirit is not swayed by circumstances. It doesn't quit because the mood has shifted. A disciplined spirit stays on course regardless of the weather. That's why discipline is the weapon of the warrior. It gives you the ability to keep walking, even when the road is steep, to keep fighting, even when your arms are tired, to keep believing, even when your emotions are drowning in doubt. Discipline is the steady hand that keeps the sword sharp when everything else feels weak. Look at the student who wants to graduate with honors. Emotions will tell him, just skip this study session, watch a movie, scroll through your phone, relax. But discipline reminds him of the bigger picture, the degree that will open doors, the knowledge that will set him apart. He stays in the library when others go to the party. He reviews notes while others sleep. And on graduation day, his walk across the stage is not a result of emotions. It is the fruit of discipline. That is the law of life. Discipline produces reward, but emotions produce regret when they go unchecked. Every successful person you admire has one common trait: discipline. The entrepreneur who builds an empire didn't always feel motivated. Many mornings he felt like quitting, but he showed up anyway. The writer who produced a bestseller didn't always feel inspired. Some days the words felt stuck, the mind felt empty, the emotions whispered, "Not today." Yet he wrote anyway, disciplined enough to push through the fog until clarity returned. The parent raising children doesn't always feel patient, but discipline allows them to keep nurturing, guiding, and teaching even when exhaustion is heavy. That's what separates ordinary lives from extraordinary destinies. Discipline. Discipline is also the ability to control the tongue. How many wars in families, workplaces, and friendships could have been avoided if someone had the discipline to remain silent? Emotions push people to speak quickly, to lash out, to pour out venom in the heat of the moment. But discipline says, wait, think, breathe. A disciplined tongue is a warrior's shield. It protects relationships, preserves peace, and prevents regret. People who win in life are not those who always speak their minds, but those who discipline their minds before they speak. Discipline requires sacrifice, but sacrifice is never wasted. Think of a farmer. He wakes up early, tills the soil, plants the seeds, waters the ground. The sun burns, the rain pours, the labor is hard. His emotions may want to quit, but his discipline keeps him steady. Weeks pass, months pass, and suddenly the harvest arrives. The farmer reaps not because of what he felt, but because of what he disciplined himself to do. That's a picture of your life. The harvest is not for the emotional, it is for the disciplined. Your emotions will tempt you with shortcuts. They will whisper, "Why wait? Why train? Why sacrifice? Just grab what you can now." But shortcuts rob you of longevity. Discipline builds what lasts. Anyone can get a quick thrill, but only discipline creates lasting fulfillment. The warrior knows this, and that's why he doesn't swing his sword wildly. He fights with precision, with focus, with patience. Discipline keeps him alive in battles where emotion would get him killed. Everyday examples surround us. Think of the person trying to save money. Emotions say, "Buy that, you deserve it. Enjoy today." But discipline says, "Delay gratification, invest in tomorrow, secure your future." Years later, while others struggle with debt, the disciplined one enjoys freedom and options. Or think of health. Emotions say, "Eat the cake. Skip the workout, you'll do it tomorrow." But discipline says, "Your body is your vessel, honor it today, strengthen it today." And when sickness comes knocking, the disciplined body is ready to resist. Discipline is not about denying joy. It is about protecting your destiny. A warrior doesn't train because he hates himself. He trains because he loves his mission. In the same way, discipline is an act of love for your future self. It's telling yourself today, "I will not allow temporary desires to sabotage eternal rewards." Emotions can be deceptive. They make you crave what feels good now, but ignore what is good forever. Discipline brings balance. It reminds you that not everything that feels right is right, and not everything that feels hard is wrong. When life becomes heavy, discipline is what carries you forward. Motivation can start you on the journey, but motivation fades. Emotions can give you energy for a moment, but they are unstable. Discipline is what wakes you up when motivation is gone. Discipline is what keeps you consistent when no one is clapping for you. Discipline is what makes you a warrior. Steady, reliable, unshakable, unstoppable. A warrior does not wait for the battlefield to appear before he begins to train. He trains every single day because he knows that the battle is certain to come. That is the secret of strength, consistency. Too many people want victory without preparation. They want success without sacrifice. They want results without routine. But life does not work that way. Victory is never a single moment. It is the accumulation of daily discipline. You cannot wait until anger rises to decide you will control your temper. You cannot wait until betrayal comes to decide you will walk in forgiveness. You cannot wait until fear shows up to decide you will be courageous. By then it is too late. The warrior trains in private so he can stand in public. Think of an athlete preparing for the Olympics. The world sees the medal ceremony, the spotlight, the applause, but they never see the years of early mornings, the countless hours of sweat, the discipline of diet, the pain of injuries, the days when emotion said quit, but discipline said continue. Victory is not won on the day of the race. It is won in the thousands of invisible days before it. In the same way, your destiny is not secured in one moment of decision. It is built by the small, daily choices you make when no one is watching. Every day is training. The words you choose to speak are training. The thoughts you allow to live in your mind are training. The way you respond to pressure is training. The way you treat people who cannot benefit you is training. When you choose gratitude instead of complaint, you are training your spirit to focus on abundance instead of lack. When you choose patience instead of frustration, you are training your spirit to remain calm in storms. When you choose integrity instead of compromise, you are training your spirit to stand tall when temptations arrive. Daily training builds spiritual muscle, and that muscle will sustain you when emotions try to knock you down. Look at the soldier. He sharpens his weapon every morning, even when there is no war. Why? Because he knows that if the war comes unannounced, he must be ready. If he waits until the enemy arrives to sharpen his blade, he is already defeated. Life works the same way. Challenges rarely send you a calendar invitation. They show up unannounced. In the phone call you weren't expecting, in the betrayal you didn't see coming, in the sudden loss that shakes your foundation. If your spirit is not trained daily, you will collapse in the crisis. But if you have trained consistently, you will not be moved. Others may panic, but you will stand calm, because your strength was forged long before the storm arrived. Even in the simplest areas of life, this principle is true. Think of health. You cannot eat junk food for years and then, when sickness arrives, suddenly expect your body to be strong. Health is built daily, meal by meal, habit by habit. Think of finances. You cannot waste money recklessly for years and then expect to be financially stable in a crisis. Stability is built through daily saving, investing, and wise decisions. The same applies to your spirit. You cannot neglect discipline and then in the moment of emotional chaos, suddenly expect peace, patience, or wisdom to appear. They must be cultivated in advance, trained daily until they become natural responses. Many people want breakthroughs, but are not willing to build the habits that sustain breakthroughs. They want peace, but they do not practice meditation or reflection daily. They want strength, but they do not practice endurance when life is inconvenient. They want success, but they are not willing to commit to the small steps repeated every day. Victory is not magic, it is training. It is lifestyle, not luck. Daily training also protects you from deception. Emotions will tell you lies. You are not strong enough. You cannot make it. You will never succeed. If you do not train daily with truth, you will begin to believe those lies. But when you meditate on truth, when you discipline your thoughts, when you rehearse positive confessions every day, your spirit becomes resilient. Lies may come, but your spirit has been trained to reject them. Fear may come, but your spirit has been trained to answer with courage. Doubt may come, but your spirit has been trained to stand on conviction. Think about the musician who practices every day. When the concert begins, he does not have to think about every note. His fingers move naturally because they have been trained through repetition. In the same way, when you train your spirit daily, discipline becomes your reflex. You don't have to fight to find peace in the storm. You are already anchored. You don't have to force forgiveness. You have trained yourself to release quickly. You don't have to panic when uncertainty comes. You have trained your spirit to trust. That is the power of training. It makes greatness second nature. Daily training also teaches humility. A warrior knows that no matter how skilled he is, he cannot skip preparation. He sharpens his sword daily, not because he doubts his skill, but because he respects the battle. In life, humility is acknowledging that you cannot skip discipline and still expect success. You cannot pray once, read once, or discipline yourself once and think you are prepared for life's battles. Training daily keeps you grounded, keeps you ready, keeps you strong. Victory is not a one-time event. It is not a single day of triumph. It is a lifestyle of preparation, of discipline, of training your spirit every single day until strength, wisdom, and peace become who you are, not just what you do. Life is not waiting for you to feel ready. Life is not asking if you are in the mood to fight or if your emotions are aligned before the battle comes. Life demands strength, whether you feel like it or not. That is why the greatest warriors are not those who are always motivated, but those who are always disciplined. Motivation will spark you, but discipline will sustain you. Feelings are waves, but discipline is the anchor. And when you build that anchor deep enough, no storm can uproot you. There comes a point when you must decide who will write the story of your life, your emotions or your spirit. Emotions are unstable authors. They change the script every day. They will make you start something today and abandon it tomorrow. They will make you love deeply today and walk away tomorrow. They will make you dream boldly today and shrink back tomorrow. But your spirit, when disciplined, writes with consistency. It writes with vision. It writes with conviction. And those are the ingredients of destiny. Think about this. Truth champions are not born in the ring. They are revealed there. The ring simply exposes the countless hours of unseen training. In the same way, your battles will reveal what you have trained in private. You cannot fake discipline. You cannot pretend strength when pressure hits. What you have built in the quiet will always show in the storm. That's why you must choose daily to train your spirit, to discipline your emotions, to live above the impulses of the moment. Do not let anger decide your future, for anger always destroys more than it builds. Do not let fear control your destiny, for fear will always shrink you smaller than who you really are. Do not let sadness rob your tomorrow, for sadness is a thief that feeds on your energy. Instead, let your spirit rise. Let discipline lead. Let purpose be louder than pain. The world does not reward those who felt like trying. It rewards those who kept moving even when they didn't feel like it. Every great story you admire is built on discipline. The runner who wins gold did not always feel like running. The inventor who changed history did not always feel inspired. The leader who transformed nations did not always feel confident, but they acted beyond feelings. They trained beyond moods. They lived above emotions. That is the call for you today, to train your spirit like a warrior until your emotions bow to your command. You must remember this. Your emotions are indicators, not dictators. They can tell you how you feel, but they should never tell you what to do. A compass does not ask the weather which direction to point. North is always north. Your purpose is always your purpose. It does not shift because you are angry. It does not vanish because you are afraid. It does not dissolve because you are tired. When you let your spirit lead, you become like that compass, steady, clear, unwavering. People will ask you one day how you kept going when life was hard, how you remained calm when storms came, how you stood tall when others bowed low. And your answer will not be, I always felt strong. No, your answer will be, I trained my spirit to be stronger than my emotions. I chose discipline over mood. I chose purpose over pain. That is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. The world is full of people who quit because they felt like quitting. Don't be one of them. Be the one who kept going, who kept fighting, who kept building, even when emotions tried to chain you down. Because the truth is, emotions may visit you, but they don't have the right to live in you unless you allow them. You are the landlord of your destiny. Stop renting space to anger. Stop giving the keys to fear. Stop letting sadness redecorate your life. Take back the keys and let your spirit rule the house. Rise each day with this mindset: storms will come, but I will not be shaken. Emotions will flare, but I will not be ruled. Pain may knock on my door, but it will not set my agenda. I am a warrior, and warriors do not live by moods, they live by mission. Warriors do not live by feelings, they live by focus. Warriors do not surrender to storms, they train to outlast them. So wake up and train daily. Speak words of strength when your emotions are weak. Walk with courage when fear is loud. Choose gratitude when sadness hovers. This is how warriors are made, not in the absence of emotion, but in the mastery of it. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that the battles that once terrified you became the very training ground. that shaped you into the unshakable, disciplined, victorious warrior you were always meant to be.